Happy Wednesday, everyone. Blood in the Street Wednesday. This is Toxic Crypto showing you how it truly can be toxic in cryptos. I wanted to give a quick overview. I did not do a video in the last few days. Wanted to see how we shook out. I did give my thoughts and analysis of where we might be going back then and proven right, and also proven why it is very important to have stops. If you're not hodling for the long term, maybe you bought a year ago or 2 years ago, and you're perfectly fine with that no matter what this whole noise is, because this is all it is, noise, then maybe that's not for you. This is not financial advice. This is clearly merely my opinion. Please take it for what it's worth and consult your own financial advisor. But I want to give my analysis of what I'm seeing, given my love for markets and my experience in watching just about every market you can trade on in the planet. I love markets and how they work and love studying them. I want to give you my thoughts. So last time when we spoke, I think was Sunday-ish, we hadn't broken down yet, and I think we had just had this move down and we were teetering on collapse. And I said if we broke down through 7K, that I would be getting out of my positions, because that would mean that the market has changed in the short term and that clearly we are not going up yet and the trend is still down and we are going to make lower lows. And I said that would be my stop for all my positions, and I got out. Golem, also important where you have stops. Remember, I was long Golem. I no longer am. I said I would be cutting my positions if we got below 56, 55 cents, and I got out here, and this is why you have stops. Okay? I still love Golem. I still love Golem long term, but guess what? I'm not going to stay in for a 50% decline. No. I'm going to get in either for a little profit or get out for a little profit or a minor paper cut so that I can have dry powder when we come back in. And I almost bought some earlier today. I just didn't pull the trigger. So back to Bitcoin, we did have the dump. We had the stops, right? We had some large volume sell-off on 610 right in the beginning and middle of the day. We went sideways, which is not what you want to see after 1,000 points down in Bitcoin. You want to kind of see a pretty quick snapback on volume, then hold higher, then move up. And instead what we got was just sideways action. An attempt. We took out the book, and then we had a short entry here to get out of longs. Anyone who was long versus low a day had to get out. We had this sell-off. Then what did we have? We had the same thing happen that we had on 610 through 611. We had high volume sell-off, then a sideways move, which the same thing happened here, which guess what? We did not make a higher low. It was just another H sell setup. Anyone who bought here had to get out at low a day. Boom, we got to push through, came back up to retest the breakdown zone, became resistance. We got another turnover and high volume panic sell-off, which took us out again. Again, we're already very oversold at this point. This time, the difference that happened today, this is important. What makes this sell-off different is that we actually got a higher volume panic sell and a reaction off of about 6,100, which that bar, this is a 30 minutes. Look, let's bring it down to the 5 minute today. This sell-off in 10 minutes, we had a reaction on high buy volume that almost took out in 5 minutes that entire range. Then what did we do? We held higher, we moved up, and we're going sideways. But unlike before, we actually had a bull break, and we had a tradable setup here. I didn't trade this setup. I bought Litecoin earlier today on this massive panic sell, which I'll get into a little bit later. I'm still long. I got in around, I had some bids in at 89.50-ish. And because I was able to get out and hold my stops from 20-30% higher, I was able to have dry powder down here below 90. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. And again, I'll get out of Litecoin if we make another low, along with probably everyone else, and I'll try it again. You'd rather have tradable setups on really, really oversold conditions, on panic volume, recognize it, pull the trigger, and have the dry powder in order to do it. So, unlike before, we actually had a tradable setup here that took several hours, and we just got a bull break around 45 minutes ago, and we're getting some follow through here with a little bit of volume. So we'll see if that comes to anything. We need to get above 6,400 for really a case to be made that we just saw the pivot low. I'm in the camp that we did see the pivot low, given the dramatic oversell panic that we had, that big volume snapback that we're ready, and I've been watching some bids on the book in BTC and LTC, layered very heavily around the for LTC going down to like 90 and like to 87. It's huge. There's as much buy orders there that would take us all the way to like 135 in Litecoin, and same percentage wise in Bitcoin. Like, there's so much layered at 6K and slightly below 6K, it can take us up to 9,000. That's how much buy orders there are compared to sell orders in Bitcoin right now. So I'm putting my reputation on the line. I'm coming out here and saying that I honestly think this is the pivot low at this point and would give us a bullwhip and a possibility for a huge snapback. I think we got a lot of weak hands out of the market. Very, very exciting. That was a pretty scary move. Going back to the daily, how are we doing on the technicals? Well, stochastics are down in the sell oversold range. Okay. RSI, we put a low somewhere in the 26s, which we haven't seen that low since the February bloodbath. And before then, we haven't seen since the July massive bloodbath. Okay? And it's been proven that anytime on the daily that we get an RSI in the mid-20s or lower, it's been the low, which we then had a dramatic rally over the next month and a half. Look at this low. It's September 15th. Look at the RSI. If you bought that bloodbath, and guys, I mean, it looks like a blip on the radar right now, but look, 4,900 down to 3,000. That's pretty scary. That's a large percentage move that we came in, right? And look at the RSI. In fact, let's draw the line. We made a lower RSI on this pullback than we did back here. And look at the rally that came after that. We made a slightly lower RSI back in February, just slightly. Okay, and actually this RSI is wrong. It's probably more like, I think I did see it at 26. So down there, pretty much touched it here, okay? And then we had a more than 50% snapback. RSI didn't even get that low back here, and we had more than a 50% snapback here. So the history, what's happened in the history does not mean it will ever happen again. But there are traders on the long term, and there's technical traders that look at this and say, after this long of a downtrend on heavy sell volume and really a panic flush with a possibility of a snapback rally, which is starting to shape up right now, every time we've had an RSI on the daily this low, in the next 4 to 5 weeks, we've had a 50% rally. What's the risk reward here from a short perspective? I'm not going to be pressing a short here. If I was short, you should have been covering into these big moves down, which is what we saw in the shorts. The shorts, look at this. They have been covering, right? They're doing what they're supposed to. They're taking profits. They were right. On the daily, the shorts made the highest RSI we've ever seen in recorded history on Bitfinex, right? Not the highest amount that we got in April, but the highest RSI. We weren't able to make a new low, a new high in shorts. What does this tell me? Looking at this chart, The last time we got the move up, we got the short squeeze. Okay. We made the all-time high in how many shorts people really thought we were going down. Well, guess what? Our second trip down to 6,000 in Bitcoin, this is where Bitcoin was in the low 6,000s in April. Look how many shorts there were. Look how many shorts there are right now at the same point. Not as many people think we're going that low, guys. I think this sets up for a very bull case for Bitcoin going higher in the next 4 to 6 weeks. The other technical thing is, yes, we've all been looking at this long-term uptrend that's been our friend, and we pierced through it. Yes, we did. We pierced through it. However, yes, we made a lower low from April, but we did not make or pierce or touch the low. We got within about 100 points or so of the February low. You could argue that that was a retest of that low. And you can also make the argument that this is going to be a bull wick, which means if we come back up on oversold bounce conditions with any type of volume, we're going to start to see those huge end of year targets again. And we come back up into this triangle, that's going to be a bull wick. This was like one of the most bullish scenarios we could have for crypto. And it hasn't happened yet, but I'm saying it's something to watch out for. If over the next week or two, we do get some type of V-shaped recovery and we come back into this pennant formation, this triangle, it's one of the extreme bull cases where we stop out people, we get people out, and then we snap back up and they have to FOMO buy back in, which is going to carry us and be able to break through this triangle to the upside. And that was one of the bull cases on how we get to some of those end of year 15, 25K, or higher targets. All right. So just because we pierced the low here, as long as we come back up within the next day or so, there's still potential. There's still potential there to go much higher. And with how oversold, which we just went through, I'm pretty confident. I was confident enough to start a position in Litecoin. So here's Litecoin. Not as good as the other charts. And let me remove the drawings here. Litecoin, people were arguing that... can I get a trend line here? Oh, that's weird. There we go. People were drawing this line. They had a couple lines, right? And it was clear. We were in this pennant triangle. All right. Well, we bounced here. We held here. Bounced here. Bounced off this upper end of the triangle. And you could have drawn this a couple different ways. In fact, I think that's another way to draw it, about right here, right? And this time we came through the floor and there was a reason to sell. Like you pretty much had to give it up. You had to have a stop there because that meant we were going lower, and that's why you have stops. We fell almost 20 points from 111, right? Where's the RSI? 25. This is the daily. When was the last time we had 25 in RSI Litecoin? Back here. We actually had to go sideways for like a week and a half before we got the kick up. Something to keep in mind. Maybe we need a week and a half here. It may not be right away that we get to kick up, or we got a little bit lower to go, right? Last time we had 25 was back here. We still had about a week before we had to move up. This was a giant move up, all right, from 100 all the way up to 230. But there was some news that came out in February about the whole LightPay thing, which we found went to nothing, right? That was what that big bar was, that announcement, which also kicked off this technical break buy target, which is why we had that move. and then it turned into nothing. So fundamental analysis there, and we're in this chart until we're not. Now, if you're a Litecoin short, you should have been covering. Honestly, like, you've got to wait for some type of bounce back into this 111, 120 area to reload shorts. So at this point, I'm making a very valid argument that it's very hard to put on a short right now unless you're playing for just a couple dollars here and there, which there are people who do that. So I saw this panic sell. I had the dry powder. I had my stops that got me out of 7,000 in Bitcoin out of all of my positions on all platforms. Okay. Because I knew we would be pulling in. I didn't want to sit through a 20, 30% loss across the board in all of my altcoins. I got out of everything. It was to take notice, right? And my next look was to see if we could get some panic, right? I tried this one right here, and my out was low of day. I got out here, little paper cut. And then when I saw this come through, I mean, this is, we already talked about this, BTC, the panic sell-off met by huge buying. I actually was able to get some Litecoin into this panic sell-off. I had some bids down under 90, and in the low to mid 89s, I layered my bids down there and I got filled. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm sitting strong, sitting long. I'm going to be holding that. I'd love to hold that throughout the end of the year. But my trade thesis is we're insanely oversold. I wanted to have some type of position on, and I got in. I'll get out if we make, if this low is challenged again, I'm out. I'm not sitting through that. That is my whole trade thesis. Why did I buy that? Because we've been oversold for an extreme period of time. We had panic volume. We had RSI lows. That's when you want to try and you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. That's what allows you to buy Bitcoin when it's extremely sold, like extremely low, and allows you to sell when Bitcoin was at 20K last year in the 19s, like I did. When people are greedy, you should be fearful. So this is the opposite. People are fearful, you should be greedy. This is the time you want to start, take a look at your own financial situation and your own financial advisor. If you have some money around, I have some investable assets. This is when you start putting them to work, layering them in, accumulate for the longer term trade. Because I believe in Litecoin. They have a lot of good stuff going on for them right now. But I'm not here to shill Litecoin. You can do your own research. I'm just telling you why I got in, what I was looking for, and when I'm going to get out if we go lower. I'm telling you right now, if we go back to these lows, I'm out. And if we come back above, I'll come back in. Maybe I'll take a little bit of paper cut. Maybe that's not for everybody, but you have to know what your stop loss is and your trade thesis. Okay? And I do expect a bounce back up to the 111 area. It's probably going to be difficult to get it back above 103. I think we have a strong chance for this to be a pivot low. I'm going to say it right now. Just of the price action I've seen, we have a strong chance. Look at Ethereum. Ethereum is even cleaner. Look at this bottoming pattern going on in Ethereum right now. This is like the exact thing that you want to see. We came down. We had the panic sell. We came right back. We held higher, and now we're about to take this out and go higher. Now, it still has to happen, but the Ethereum chart even looks cleaner than Bitcoin and Litecoin. So Ethereum has relative strength. Remember, Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash took us out of the last downturn. All right? Will it happen again? I don't know. Bitcoin Cash has a tradable buy setup that just happened. It's clean as well. It had a 30-minute inside bar, held higher, went higher. All right? Zcash is trying to hold on. Tell you what, I think Zcash handled itself better than Monero. Monero got absolutely obliterated. There's a big buy candle right here, about 11,000 Monero. Very little traded, and as a privacy coin that had a lot of people in love with it, Zcash is handling better. What about EOS? EOS was in the single digits. It came into 912. It's already rallied from 909-ish all the way up to 1012. There's a nice reversal trade for you. Whew. Block. We were watching Block up in the mid-20s. Look how far this thing came in. This is why you have stops. If you were buying this breakout in Block, this move up, the momentum got out at 25.86. If you didn't get out, okay, your out should have been this low at 23.10. That would have saved you all this pain. Okay? And I think since no one else on, I think I have the ability to show you trade setups. And if you like the trade setups, I'll spend more time, instead of the TA that so many people do, I'll spend more time actually going into how you can trade these trade setups. And whenever I put real trades on, I'll let you know that I do and why I was looking at it to help so you can learn. What I want to look at here. Take a quick look at Deutsche Bank. We had that low down in the 10s, had a rally, had some large volume here. It gapped down on 6.8, came back up, and it's just floating. And then it sold off near the end of the day today. It's treading water right now. Deutsche Bank is treading water. So let's look at this chart. Okay, February to now. What's the S&P 500 doing? February till now, we were overbought on the S&P 500, and we're taking a little bit of profit. We weren't able to make a new high from this, but this was a very tradable setup here. I said, my opinion, we go higher at 272. We got that extension move. You made a nice 7 or 9 points, a couple percent in the S&P 500. That's a big swing in options if you're buying calls off that. Very easy trade setup here, guys. Same with the Qs. You made 6 points in the Qs on this same bull flag setup. Just clear as day. Clear as day. One thing to watch out, though, with the Qs, we did get some resistance at highs. We came in. Yes, we went higher. But today, what happened? Technically, we made a new high, reversed, and closed on lows. That usually means when you make a new high and reverse and come down on volume, usually that means it's a reversal pattern, and that's the top. Let's see what happens. I would also say this happened, this reversal from a new high to close on lows. Granted, it is right where we broke out from. You know, it's not a confirmed breakdown yet. Is the same day a new high in the Qs and a reversal close on lows, a bearish setup for the top, potentially, is the same day that we get a panic sell-off, okay, and a possible reversal in BTC and possible reversal in crypto. I don't know. Are we going to see a correlation? Does that mean something? We will have to wait and find out, right? We will have to wait and see. So I had to record this video twice because I just wanted to record it again. One thing that I did bring up in my last video, I think we went back through the RSIs, and I think I briefly touched on this. But looking at the daily RSI, we're down in the 26. This is BitMEX BTC. Just looking at if you were a long-term buyer of BTC and you are wanting for good buy zones or times to start accumulating, when was a good time? When RSI was below 26, at or below 26, mid-20s. Look at this July. We actually went lower than that now. Look at the return. Then you saw from August to September, that nasty sell-off, 4,900 down to 2,800. That was scary, right? Scary. That happened in like 10 days. Really scary. RSI touched almost to where we are right now. And then look what happened. Off the sell-off, February low, which we did not break. We're still above it as of right now. Touched to where we are. We had 100% rally in BTC. The April low didn't go as low as we were. We had a 53% rally. Keep that in mind. Let's see how this shakes out. Because history says when we are this oversold on the macro level of looking at things, we are going to see a 50% or more rally. What does that mean? We were all looking at this pennant, right? This triangle. Every TA on YouTube they're geniuses because they can draw this line, right? You can draw this line. Why is this a bullish setup? Bullish setup because we had a reverse head and shoulders. We had a triple bottom. All the clear signs. We did have this line, which we were holding, right? This is the long-term, well, since November, uptrend of Bitcoin that we had been bouncing off of, and price was coiling and consolidating this entire giant move. We just pierced through it. Okay? If we did put in some type of panic pivot bottom today, call it 64, 6,500 is the bottom of that uptrend, just roughly. We come back through with some volume, which if we do, we're going to have this fractal bull break at the same time. So expect to see it tomorrow morning, if not earlier, if we're going to get it. That'll carry us back up to 68.52. Then we would need to see some type of retrace to that trend line to show we can retest and hold the low, hopefully right around the 6,500 area, which would probably be textbook, to then give us a move back up to the break of 7,600-ish, 72 or 7,600, right? And then we would need to hold sideways a little bit, come in, and then we're going to retest this pennant. Now, I may have showed it in this video already, but I just very quickly, that low we put in, I went back and I looked at patterns, you know, from our pivot low to where just 14 days out is only 38%. I was saying that we looked at it, right? We looked at it, it's 50% or higher is what the normal snapback is when we're this oversold on the RSI on the daily. Where does that put us? Well, that put us back up to 9,200, which is right in this level. Well, what does that mean? That means we're going to break to the bull side this time around, if history repeats itself, with a chance to come back, retest this breakout, and then make the big move. This would be a 1, this would be a 2, and the 3 breaks calculators. The bull is still possible. That is one scenario. Again, the other scenario is we go sideways for maybe a couple days, no real volume comes in, and we just slowly snag off till we make another low, and then we plummet. Where do we plummet? 5,500, $5,000, 4,500. First stop would be our macro pivot low at 57-ish, and then we'd be down to 55 to 55. And that's why I'm going to have stop losses on my trades, because I want to be able to buy down there, and I'm giving it a chance. The risk reward of going long on that panic RSI oversold was worth it for that move and that move up here, right? So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin, Litecoin, And really, I mean, you could have done anything with, look at this buy zone I did in Bitcoin Cash that came right in the middle of the hot box. We're getting reversal. Did you accumulate? Did you buy? Looks tasty, doesn't it? Real quick, what are we getting in the last, let's go to this box. Unless you want me to keep it there. We'll keep it there. I trade a little buy there. So we really didn't have any buy volume this entire time, so it has a chance. Being how oversold it has for so long, a little nudge in the right direction, this thing is gonna fly, baby, fly. Look at that. There's another fractal buy pattern right there. We break above that. It'll be quick. You might miss it. So anyway, it's looking better. It's looking good. I am long Litecoin, a little bit of Bitcoin. I got a little bit of BCH down at the pivot low, right? With my orders I got filled. I have been considering getting into a small position in Golem because I like Golem and I want to be long Golem. I just haven't done it yet. I'm still long the majors until we can prove that this is the real low, because the majors will have a lower beta. They will go down less than the altcoins will if we're going lower. Okay? So I'm keeping it a little bit tight. I have my trade thesis I'm giving you, and I think that's it. Another something I saw, by the way, this is looking really freaking juicy. One real cool on Twitter that you can follow is LTC Whale Watcher, and what this does is it follows the top 50 richest Litecoin wallets. I look at this daily, right, and it tells you whenever there's tweets whether they sent, which means they sold, or they bought, which is received. And I pulled this up before I started the videos. Check this out. About an hour ago, so 6:15, the last 15 minutes, an hour ago, the top 50 LTC wallets received, which means they bought 277,000 more Litecoin than they sent. Okay, understand how much that is. I have never seen it above 20,000. Okay, is that not enough for you? Okay, let's scroll down. Before that, another 277,000. All right, not enough for you? Another 277,000. Oh, do you think that they might be using the same calculation? Okay, we'll go back further. 2 hours ago, not using the same information, 277,000. Okay. 3 hours ago, not using the same information. In the last 15 minutes, look at the accumulation that the whales are doing in LTC. They are buying everything they possibly can get a hold of right now. All day long. The last 4 hours. You can spend all the time you want. I've gone back. This is going back 4 or 5 hours now from time of recording. And we're getting 250,000 Litecoin buys. They're accumulating Litecoin massively. And let's check out new tweets. Here's another one 16 minutes ago at 7 o'clock. It went up even more. This is legit buying in Litecoin, which that means they bought massively this, and they bought this dip here, which means, in my opinion, this is for real. So I'm going to leave it to that. This video, let's just do a quick reload of the market cap, just to have it for historical remembrance, right? God, this thing is going so slow. 272 billion market cap, with Bitcoin at about 108 billion, Litecoin about 5.3 billion at 94 bucks. So just keep in mind. Let's see if this plays out. With that, I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday night. Hot along, be smart, have stops if you trade that way. Be careful, be safe, eat healthy, and be amazing. Toxic Crypto out.